Hello, this is Megan with Little Gray Squirrel, and I was putting together an email for my font newsletter subscribers where I compile a list of the current free fonts, graphics, SVG cut files, as well as some $1 deals, some awesome bundles. Usually I include a font or design that I see that's trending. I can put a link in the description if you would like to subscribe and receive these emails. All the links that I share are links to the website to download. I don't share any products other than the ones that I personally create. So they're all direct links to the websites where you can download them, and they are all only commercial use products that I share because these are meant to help you build your library of resources for the things that you make to sell. So link for that in the description. And then the email I sent this week, something that I saw that was kind of trending, people asking about how to create this vintage style layered offset look using bold script fonts. So I'm going to show in this tutorial, I'm going to use these three fonts, which is Radicals, Golden Hills, and Halle Kuhn. So these two, Radicals and Golden Hills, were free the week that I shared them. But usually the fonts and stuff that I share are only free for a limited time, which is why I try to get out emails every week so that you don't miss out. And then Halle Kuhn, I have the all access subscription on Creative Fabrica, so I just grabbed it from there. I can share that as well. I also will create a list of some other 70s style fonts similar to Halle Kuhn that I see people ask for a lot. They're slightly different, but I'll share a link to all those. Anyhow, so I'm using Silhouette Studio. I have the business edition. These steps that I'm going to show you, only 2 of them isn't necessary to have business edition. So I'm going to show you how to use some of the glyphs and then how to use the warp panel to warp text. But these 2 variations you can do just using even Silhouette Studio Basic Edition. So I'm going to show you how to do all those. The 3 different steps that I'm showing you, the first one is just duplicating the original text. The second one, this font actually has what's called an extrude. It's a separate font that you install, and you just type it out like you would the text, and then you weld it together. So I'll show you that one. And then finally on the hills, we're going to do an offset and then duplicate it and create this larger offset. So it's 3 different techniques. Okay, so first I'm going to work with Radicals because it's probably the easiest. So I'm just going to move these over to the side. And I will show you how to use the Glyphs panel when I do Golden Hills. So I'm just going to leave Radicals as it is, as a regular font that you would type out. You can also access the glyphs using the character map on your computer, or is it Fontbook on a Mac? But I'm not going to mess with that today. Okay, step 1. Type your text. And I'm just using the name of the font. Open your text style tab. Select the font. And anytime you are going to be changing a font like we're going to be welding this, you either want to duplicate and set it off to the side, the original version, or you can draw a note, or you can just type text of what font you used to help you remember in case you go back and want to do it. Because once you change the text, you will no longer be able to see which font you used. Okay, so have our font typed out. And we're just going to right click, weld, and then select all of it, right click, and group. So I have the font typed out, it's welded. I'm going to right click, duplicate, and I'm going to change the color of this one to orange so I can see the difference. And I'm going to send it to the back. And now I'm going to line them up so they're stacked on top of each other. And then I'm going to use my cursor keys, and I'm going to count until I see where I want it. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, down, 1, 2, 3, across. And I'll make a note of that. So 9 down, 3 across. Okay, the orange one is already highlighted. Right click, duplicate, send to the back. Line it up with the previous orange. I'm just using the cursor key. That was too far. Okay, the two oranges are lined up. So now I'm going to go down 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then over 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to change this. So I have red, orange. I'm going to do yellow. And then make sure yellow is highlighted. Duplicate. Send to the back. Line it up and then down 9. And 3 to the right. And change the color to green. Duplicate the green, send it to the back, line it up, down 9, over 3, change the color to blue, and so on. After you have a couple of them, you could select 2, duplicate, send to the back, select the 2, line it up with the ones before it, and then down 9. And then another 9, and then we're going to go over 6. Like that. And then you could just change, so I have red, orange, yellow, green, blue. You change this one to purple. And this one, I like purple. So that's it. This gives you the stacked of just using the same exact text. Just keep sending it behind and lowering it and sending it to the right, the same number for each layer. And then if you want, you can select them all and go to line style and change the color either to the matching color or just transparent. And then you can't see it. Or if you want like a little bit of black outline, you could change the line to black and then increase the line thickness a little bit. Next, I'm going to show you how to work with this Halle Kuhn. So we have a couple of options. I created this white offset just to give it a little more dimension so it would stand out a little bit better, but you could also leave it off. So first, we start by typing a word. Select the text and change your font. So I'm going to choose Halle Kuhn script, and then I'm going to duplicate this because this has, if you see here, I have Halle Kuhn script, I have Halle Kuhn outline, which actually doesn't work very well in the Silhouette software. And then I have Halle Kuhn extrude. So those are the two I'm going to use. So this one that I duplicated, I changed it to Halle Kuhn extrude. And I hope I'm saying that correctly. Halle Kuhn? Halle Kuhn? Anyhow, so go ahead and select this one and weld. So now this is your offset. And it already has the drop down here. So it's pretty much just ready to go. And then you want to go ahead and weld this one also. And select it and group it. And we'll go ahead and change the color so it's easier to tell the different layers. So this one will be orange. And I can change the line to orange. send that to the back. And then see, it lines up perfectly. To get the white outline, all I did was select the red, and I went to the offset panel, selected offset, and reduce the offset distance to 0.25, and then you can still see a little bit of the orange around it. So I'm going to select the orange and the red and cut, and then go ahead and group in the line color as well. And then right click, paste. And I'm going to send these to the back. I'm going to bring the red to the front. And now those are lined up. Okay, so now we're just going to continue like we did on the first font, where we're just going to grab the background, the orange color, right click, duplicate, line it up. I'm going to go ahead and turn it yellow so I can see it better. I sent the orange to the back just so I can grab the yellow. Okay, so we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Send it to the back. And then I think this needs to go 2 more. So we want these to line up here. 3. So down 19 and over 17. Okay, so now we're going to duplicate the yellow, turn it green, send it to the back, and then now we're just going to go down 19. Okay, it was 21. So we see this line is lined up. And then we'll duplicate, turn it blue, send it to the back, and then when you use the send it to the back, you need to click off of it, reselect it, and then you can go down. Okay, down 21. And you can see how each layer is building up upon the previous layer. So you can keep going with as many different colors as you would like, or you can leave it at that. So when you do this, we have the nice layers on the bottom that wrap around the text, but then we also have some of this up here. So this is for you to decide, do you want to leave this yellow here? Or do you want to remove it so that you just see the orange offset? So if you want to remove it, double click on it to edit points and just grab the point and pull it down, and it's actually just pulling it down behind, and then you'll see the green, and you can pull that down behind too. So this is entirely up to you. There's the yellow right there. And however you want it to look like in the end. And then if you are going to print and cut, then this is pretty much ready to go. You would just click send. And, well, you would turn on your registration marks and get all that ready. But when you went to send, it would just cut around the whole perimeter. if you are going to layer this in like vinyl or on a t-shirt with heat transfer vinyl, that kind of thing, then you would probably want to subtract the layers, and I will show you how to do that next. So this is how you subtract layers on a stacked design like this. Okay, so we will go ahead and duplicate and set our original aside. I always leave an original to the side. You don't want to have too much stuff, all the stuff that I had in the beginning, because it's going to slow your software down, but I'm not ready to delete that just yet. So, okay, so we have our first. We are going to work from the bottom layer to the top. So we're going to select the blue and the green, and we'll drag them to the side. They're both selected. We're going to go up to Object, Modify, and Subtract. And we don't need these parts up here, so we'll just delete those. And we're going to group our blue together and set that aside. We have our blue layer. I'm just going to go in order, so I'm just going to delete this. I'm going to duplicate our original. We're done with the blue, so I can delete that as well. We're going to do the green, so grab the green and the yellow. They're both selected. Go to Object, Modify, Subtract. Delete the parts you don't want. And you can't quite see that, but it's group, right click and group, and that light green layer is done. And you can stack them up if you want as you go. Delete this. Duplicate our original. Our blue and green are done, so I can delete those. I'm going to grab the yellow and the orange. They're already both selected. Object, Modify, Subtract. Delete any stray bits. Select and group the yellow. Set it aside. The next color we're going to do is orange. Duplicate the whole thing. Delete the colors we have. We're going to subtract the white from the orange, so I'm just going to get rid of the red. Select both, Object, Modify, Subtract. Make sure the whole thing is selected. Right click, group, and our orange is done. Now we're going to duplicate again. We're going to create our white outline. So delete the ones we already have. And I'm going to turn the white one, the line, black. Okay, so the line of the white shape offset is now black. I'm going to select both, Object, Modify, Subtract. I also could have just left the red one on there and cut it, and it would have cut out, but it's kind of nice to have each layer on its own. So go ahead and group that, set it aside, and then the top layer was the red one. It doesn't need to be changed at all. Oops. But I do want to duplicate, so I still have an original copy of the project. And then now I'm going to zoom in. And I can line it up. So I noticed that some of the these layers down here overlap. So with them all lined up, I'm going to place the orange one, duplicate it, because it's going to disappear when you subtract. And I'm going to move these out of the way. I'm going to select the orange and the green. Object, Modify, Subtract. I can get rid of that, and then I'm going to duplicate the orange again. and then select the blue, object, modify, subtract, and now make sure that the colors are grouped together. And I see that the yellow and the blue overlap a little bit. Duplicate the yellow because it's on top, so it will disappear. Select the yellow and the blue, object, modify, subtract. And then I'm going to get rid of this little sliver and then regroup the blue. And now I can line everything up again, just like that. So now when you're ready to cut, you can just separate it by color. The white is here. And when you layer them, they should all sit next to each other and they shouldn't overlap. Alright, so that is how you create the layered offset look with the two fonts with the extrude. Okay, now we were going to go to Golden Hills. This one is the one that you can do it without the business edition, and you can just type it and do the same thing we just did with the other two, or you panel and the glyphs to give it a different look. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to type golden, and when you're using the warp, they need to be on their own text box. So Golden at Hills. The next thing we need to do is go into our page setup and click on the middle, the one with the grid, or we would, turn the grid on or off. And we want to choose Snap to Grid, and we want to choose Snap to Guides. And this is going to help us when we use the warp panel to make both of these even in what we do. So what we do to one will happen to the other one. So right now you can see how when I move the text around, it's staying up next to this line and it's spaced about the same. You can see when I move the text around how it's jumping. It's because it's jumping from the grid lines on the mat. Okay, so now I'm going to select both of these and go to Text Style tab, and I'm going to choose, well, it's not recent anymore, but Golden Hills. And this would be perfectly nice to make all the offsets, either do the offset layers or just duplicate it. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the Glyph tab here and change some of it. So if we select golden, when you first start scrolling through the glyphs, it'll first go through the numbers and then the letters that are already in the font. Like if you were to just type it out, these are the regular capital and lowercase letters. But then as you scroll down, you'll see the extras. So they have the other language support and then the alternate letters just past there. So these here. So for example, if we wanted to make the D have a little swash at the top here, we can double click to insert the cursor, delete the D that we have, and then select this D. But that kind of messes up the L, so I'm going to delete that. And go back and add just a regular over this. A regular D. And then let's add a bottom, a swoosh. Let's see here. There we go. So we can choose, there's 4 different ones here. Oops. So I was still on the D. So I'm going to cursor over to the N, just past the N, and select that. It's not quite long enough. Let's, how about, nope. That one's good. Okay, so we'll leave golden like that, and then hills, we can select it and see if we want to add the swash at the end of this one, so we'll do the shorter one. Nope. Here's the shortest. So we're done with the text. So now we're going to select one at a time, and we're going to open the warp panel. And we're going to choose warp selected shapes. And right now this has 3 handles. And we're going to change this to just 1, so that when we move 1, it moves the whole word. Otherwise, for example, it can tend to get weird. So let's reduce the handles to 1 and see how it's just 1 box now. We can just grab this upper corner and drag it up, and it's going to go click. We'll go 2 clicks, and then same with the bottom. So now it's the same size as it was, it's just angled up. Then we'll select this one, warp selected shape, decrease to 1. We're going to bump this up 1/2 inch, and the same with this one. And that's it. So now we have these both angled. Now we can go ahead, right click, and weld. And then group. Same thing, select, right click, weld, right click, group. And see, it's still jumping around. So now we can go ahead. Actually, we'll leave that on. So select the both, decide the color you want to use. If we want to use this same color palette, we'll go ahead and fill it with white. And we'll leave the line color red here for just a bit. And then we'll do an offset. Do both at the same time. And decrease the offset to 0.03. You can use the down arrow, or you can just select it and enter it in. Now we are going to grab the inside, which is the solid font, and I'm going to leave them together and just group them. And then we have our offsets. So this looks like it did something weird there. So I'm just going to open the edit points here and just straighten that out. And then down here you can see it's a little bit darker. And here, that one looks okay. So go ahead and group them, each word individually. That one's already grouped. We'll just keep these together and work in the same so that the balance is the same between both of them. Now we're going to have to turn off the snap to grid, and the grid lines, and then just manually choose how big I want these to be. So select the top 2, right click, and weld. And select the bottom 2, right click, and weld. Okay, so now we have some kind of wavy lines here in a couple places, which could be fine. And I'll actually turn this red so you can see what it would look like. There we go. Bring this to the front. If you were just doing one offset, that looks fine. But since we're going to be doing different layers of offsets, we're going to smooth out these bits here. and you'll see how it makes a difference. So I'll turn this one red also. And I'm going to place this back on top just so we can have a guide. So that's about what we want it. Okay, so now we're going to smooth out this point right here. You're going to double click to turn on editing points. Select the point that's in the way and delete it. And then select a couple more points. If you need to, you can grab the line, make a new point, and then curve it if you have to reshape any of it. And I will delete that. And then, okay, so now we're going to get rid of this divot here. So double click, select, delete, delete, select, delete. And we want it to be just sloped downward. This one has a double here, so we're going to double click, delete, that went too far. So this one we can just adjust. There. And up here. We'll try grabbing the point and dragging it out. Oops. Use Control Z to undo. Just drag that out and then straighten it out a little bit this way. And then this one. So essentially what we're doing is we're changing the shadow, we're changing the outline. So the blue squares are little handles that you can change the direction of the line. And the white dots are the highlighted point. And you can just either right click and delete the point, or you can select it and hit backspace or delete. And then you can also change, it's hard to see right now, but this is the line that's selected. You can right click and make it flat. And then I'm going to leave this curve here, but I'm going to get rid of this one. And I can do that by moving the handle as well. So editing points is something that takes a little bit of practice, but it's kind of fun to be able to adjust the lines exactly how you want them to be. And then we will change these as well. Actually, I'm going to change that one. There really is no wrong way to do this. It's all just depending on how you want it to look. That looks like a nice, smooth, it has the extrude look that the previous font had, only I just created it myself. If it doesn't have an extrude, then you can create your own. I'll just continue working. So now I have the red ones grouped and the white ones grouped. I'm going to duplicate the red. I'll change the color to, we'll do that peach color. Send it to the back. And then there. So what I was looking for was this line here to line up with the previous layer. And then we'll duplicate. Send it to the back. Duplicate. Change the color. Send it to the back. And adjust. And then it looks a little weird because the lines are still red, so I will change those. And that is our vintage Golden Hills look. And let's change this here. Turn off the grid. So that is how to create the layered offset using both the glyphs panel and the warp panel if you have the business edition of Silhouette Studio. If you want to layer it, just go ahead and subtract all the layers just like we did in the previous font, or you can do a print and cut and just go ahead and send. Well, actually I'll show you. If you want to set it up for print and cut, you turn on your registration marks. Make sure your page size is appropriate to what you're printing. So I'll say our media size is a letter. Make sure it's not in the hash mark area. And then when you send, after you print it, it will just cut the outline for you. Alright, well if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask in the comments. I also have a Facebook group for silhouette help. It's called Silhouette Craft Community by Little Gray Squirrel. You can get to it from my Little Gray Squirrel Facebook page, or I can send you a link if you'd like. So go ahead and sign up for the email list to get those fonts every week, and my regular email list if you would like as well. And I hope to help you in the future.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos where we have fun and make stuff. Also, follow Little Gray Squirrel on Pinterest and on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to see what's new.